Nate Poeppel.
Poeppel, actually.
Poeppel.
Yeah, not many people know how to pronounce it.
Man, I feel so bad. I've been saying
No-
Poeppel this whole time.
No, it's okay. I think most people have known me for years and they still don't know how to say it.
Mm,
So there you go, Poeppel. Just disregard the O and it's pretty
perfect.
easy.
Perfect. All right. How's it going?
It's good. It's been a pretty chill morning. I haven't really done anything other than drive here.
Weirdly, it was like 0 degrees, but it still felt warm out when I walked outside.
I didn't wear anything but this hoodie.
What's up with that? How come 0 degrees feels warm?
Because I think it's been colder than that.
Oh my God, what's happening to
It's going to get warm this
ourselves?
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm good with.
Supposed to maybe, hopefully snow. We're going to go do some filming on Sunday morning,
Where at?
the Palisades.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I
we
like
want
anything
epic.
when it's that cold, though.
So we were talking about cold water. I'm thinking about getting in the water if I find a good
When you're
spot.
there,
Mm-hmm.
film it as well, maybe.
Have to. So yeah,
cool.
like I said, I did it like 3 weeks ago, and I'm almost itching to get back in
Yeah,
a weird way.
yeah,
So
I get that.
we might try it. We'll see what happens.
I have to actually do that. I have to do that within the next 5 years or something.
Have you ever tried like cold showers or anything like that?
Yeah, I do those every once in a while.
Mhm.
I don't know why I pop into the mindset of doing that, but yeah, the video that I watched, the Breathe and Believe video,
Mm-hmm.
that inspired me to do some breath work. I actually did some mouth taping for a couple days, which is interesting.
Really? I've never tried that.
It's not bad. I have transport tape laying around because I use it for hiding lav mics.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And I
Kinda
did it.
painless and
Yeah, I did it. And it was like, oh, this wasn't weird at all. I thought it was going to be more uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
yeah, it felt good. It felt, I had a bit of a balanced feeling when I woke up those mornings. So I need to keep doing that. I don't know why I fall off of habits sometimes.
I'm definitely gonna have to let them know that we had a mouth taping
Yeah.
from the episode.
Yeah. It was inspired.
So have you've never done any kind of breath work before that, or?
I have. I mean, I've been kind of doing meditation stuff for a while. I've been on a streak lately. I've been meditating pretty heavily for the past month. I meditate 30 minutes a day.
What benefits have you found from that?
A lot for me is that I've always been a very hypersensitive, very anxious person my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost have gone down this rabbit hole of becoming a perfectionist in a lot of things to try to alleviate that.
Mm.
But yeah, a lot of it is just understanding that I don't have control of the world and breathing through a lot of those things. There's so much conditioning that we go through. And yeah, I think meditation's been really important for me to understand that I have a body and I have a mind, but I'm not those things. And I just kind of disconnect and
You're not even really your thoughts.
Yeah. You're just fortunately, I have a brain that allows me to understand that. That's good. But yeah, a lot of it is just disconnecting from the conditioning and all of the stuff that's going on. So
The programming.
yeah, so it's nice. I'd say meditation just calms me down, gets me to that space. I don't know. It's kind of an effortless thing. You kind of just do it. You show up. You have to shut down. It's a weird thing. You have to show up.
The hardest part is kind of getting started.
Yeah.
Finding creating the time to actually give to yourself.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing because everyone thinks that they should be busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy a lot of kind of quiet time. So it's just even quieter. It's more intentional, which is nice to toss into my day. I don't know. Yeah, it's really good control of the mind.
You feel like creatively it's helped you?
Yeah, I would say in some ways. I would say that what I do for maybe work or something, I'm not positioned as much of a creative. I do creative things and people think I'm creative, but I kind of like the more technical stuff. That's where I probably have landed into audio or more corporate video.
I heard you talking earlier about camera stuff and you got a very solid technical understanding of a lot of a lot of people don't know what you're even talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah, and I just bank on people knowing what I'm talking about when I'm talking to a videographer, but sometimes, it's pretty in-depth stuff.
Yeah.
I think that audio taught me to be that way, and the jobs that I've done have just been extremely technical, and there's a ton of pressure.
More about creating processes and systems rather than creating color.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the creative stuff that I figure out is just working with people, because that's kind of the variable in there that I have no control of, and doing a ton of corporate events and things like that. It's difficult to know what people are going to do and predicting that and kind of orchestrating this thing and steering a ship that's big. and having things not get screwed up, you know?
So is that where you do most of your work then, is like corporate stuff and like events and stuff?
I would say I don't do as many events anymore. I used to work with Pinnacle a lot. When I moved to Sioux Falls originally, I was heavily working with them. I've always kind of been a subcontractor for them.
Okay.
I just like being positioned that way because I always wanted to do my own thing as well. Still, I'm that way.
I feel that.
Yeah, yeah. So, but when I moved to Sioux Falls like 6 years ago, Pinnacle didn't really have that side of their company. They were just kind of getting into these bigger corporate events that you see now with the live streams.
Yep.
So I was right there with those guys, and we were creating systems, and we were learning. I was learning like how to do audio at that level. And it's so funny to think about like the mistakes that we made along the way. Or
you got to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. I made so many hilarious mistakes, but yeah, it started sounding good really early on, and I started learning a system, and I just kept rolling with it. I'd say it only took me a year of kind of mistakes, and then I was in. And yeah, I don't do that stuff quite as much now. I would say I'm more into doing podcasts and video stuff and mixing like video and film kind of stuff.
Okay.
I still mix music, not as frequent. I would say I mix maybe like 1 or 2 music projects a month at most. I like doing that. But yeah, a lot of it has just been simplifying it, not making it so complex, and just dealing with companies and like these podcasts and things like that, that there's just a structure, and we do it weekly, and you know, you kind of build a business system, which has kind of been nice because I don't want my work to be the only thing I am.
Right. Yeah, we were kind of touching on that right before the podcast.
Yeah. And I lived in that for so long. And yeah, now it's time for me to just like feel something outside of work.
Yeah, I think,
which is good.
You know, you get to a certain point in work where like the only way to keep going up is to start focusing on work less and focusing on yourself more.
Yeah, the mental side is
so that's kind of where you're at now.
Yeah, and you see that. I see that in myself. I see that in other people too, where it's all about just being a good person and having your stuff mentally straight so you can see what's going on. I wish that more people got that chance. I have this opportunity where I've worked for myself for so long that I have so much freedom and so much control, and I say no to a lot of things if they're just slightly out of my bandwidth or they're slightly off what I want to do.
It's a fuck no or a fuck yes.
Kind of, yeah. It's an all-in thing or all out. And that's really benefited me because it gives me a lot of space to like figure out what I'm actually passionate about.
It's liberating to only do what you choose to do instead of feeling like you got to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and I'll still do things to push boundaries or to make a little bit of money every once in a while. But yeah, a lot of it is just what I'm passionate about now. And sometimes it's about finding, you have like a weird vibe on a project or something, and then you figure out what's so cool about it, like what is so special about it. And you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't see it at first.
Or maybe there's something uncomfortable about that you get to work on yourself because you got uncomfortable in this spot.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. I think just that fact that you get to do what you're passionate about. So few people get to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Lucky to do that.
So I feel like I want to inspire more people to realize that they can do what they want to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm proof of it. Like I'm on my second dream job, you know what I mean?
How many years have you been doing like the production side?
So I was a personal trainer.
Yep.
And I started doing gym videos.
Okay.
Started with the phone.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll do some podcasts. So I did a podcast there, did a podcast at home with my wife. And I got just kind of more and more obsessed with it. Got my first camera 3 years ago.
Yeah, not long. It's a weird phase, isn't it, to like jump into that?
And yeah, I keep trying to rush the process now, but it's like I'm so new.
Yeah.
Like, take my time, enjoy where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not many years into video either, so I totally relate to that. It's super uncomfortable right away, especially when you've gotten good at something else in life.
Yeah.
And then you're just like vulnerable as hell.
I'm a late starter because like I did jobs that I hated until I was 30.
Wow, that's crazy.
You know, and then I was actually older than that. I was like 33 when I decided to become a personal trainer.
Yeah.
After, like kind of years thinking about it, learning about it, preparing for it, had to dive in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
So when COVID hit, I was just in a spot where I was so wrapped up in video. The gym closed. It's like, all right.
You had to focus on something new.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I've only been, full time doing this for less than a year.
Yeah, unfortunately, we live in an area where we've kept moving forward during COVID. Mm-hmm. So it allowed our industries to kind of thrive a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy how busy I've been.
Well, we've been super necessary because people need to get a message out some way in a transparent manner.
Right. So, yeah, it's been a crazy road just to get, like, right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I love that. That's cool, man.
Like, all kinds of, I got into, like, recording music 15 years ago.
Really? Cool.
And it's like, so, like, I had, like, a idea about audio, recording, production, but I feel like that, even, like, the sense of timing of music, learning about that, helped me so much when it came to video.
Yeah, that's so true.
Years later, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's a foundation. That's actually funny that you say that because I had this point of I'm still totally learning everything that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I think I've gotten pretty good at video or pretty good at audio over the years, and there came this point where I was in total refusal to jump into like video. And I had to like shift my brain and see it as a handoff, to see it as like audio is a part of video. And like the fact that you have
audio is a huge, almost more important
such
than
a huge
video.
part. So I'm fortunate in that situation. I had to see it that like I had this great background of audio where I learned so much stuff and I could just pull it into video. So all I had to focus with in video is like the video side.
How to get a good image.
Yeah, I didn't have to think about the audio side because that was just so second nature.
And if you're a musician already, then you're going to have timing.
Cutting music is easy too, So doing remixes or whatever. You just have so much control when you have the audio down.
That's like a huge thing, like remixing a song for a video to fit the vibe for a video. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
The fact that you could do that, like a lot of people getting into video who have no background in that, would never even think of that. But you can literally shape anything you want.
Tricky, yeah. And it's really hard it's really hard to edit audio in like video editors. So that's, I think that's a real disadvantage to a lot of people who they don't have like a DAW, like digital audio workstation, because I can't really cut songs unless I'm in Pro Tools. I just don't like it because I need a BPM grid and I want to be able to like see exactly where the marks are and shift things around and throw it around. Whereas in a video editor, you're kind of like getting close to the transient and assuming that that's on time. Yeah, it's never like perfect or easy.
That's one advantage to where my music recording never was on a computer. Okay. So I never got into the, the DAW workflow or anything like that. So I just download stems and go by the
Sure, but like to cut timing of things, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard.
And like I've done it, like definitely a music producer would probably cringe at the way I do it. But it's like if they can't tell in the video, then
if you can't tell the tempo change, it just makes it so easy when you have a BPM grid. I've been saying for years, I probably said it in like 5 videos like this, there needs to be a BPM grid in a video editor.
Premiere Pro.
Whoever. I'm Final Cut, but they all need to have it.
I switched over to Final Cut this summer.
Did you?
I like it.
I do too. It was weird for like 2 days, and then I was like, cool.
I'm so fast with it.
Yeah, me too.
Compared to Premiere Pro, it's just so fast.
I use I had to create 2 key commands. It's like ripple editing. I don't know if you've ever learned that, but Q and R.
Yeah.
It's basically just trimming the head and the
tail.
My
R is trim to start. My E is trim to end. Q is just a blade.
Nice.
S is blade all.
You're a fast editor.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good. It's like fun to be fast at editing.
It's so amazing. Yeah. Like I could I was working off a laptop before in Premiere Pro. And there was just so many like render, sit around and wait, like, the process was agonizing.
Yeah.
I could literally work on this MacBook Pro in Final Cut for 3 hours straight without even blinking.
Yeah.
And the software
It's just
the
solid.
hardware is not a limitation. There's no limitations in my speed.
It makes the most out of your computer.
4K 60, 10-bit color, and it's just tearing through it.
I understand why a lot of people still use Premiere. But I think a lot more people who are Mac-based should be trying things like, I don't know, they should be trying Final Cut. Because it's so solid. If you're a Mac user, I think that you should give it a shot. I get it. Resolve is probably a more pro option. But I think between Premiere and Final Cut, they're both kind of the same level of like professional use. They're just kind of easy, like turnaround type software.
I don't love color grading in Final Cut, so I basically move it over to DaVinci.
Do you really?
For color grading.
Yeah.
So there's jobs where sometimes I'll go through 3 different.
Oh, you're working around.
Because I'll do the editing in Final Cut, the color in DaVinci, and then maybe titles or sound work or something in Premiere. So
I had to move it over because the default is like the color. I don't know what they call it. It's almost
the color board.
The color board, yeah. I had to change it to color wheels. As soon as I did that and I got the vibe of it, and every once in a while I'll jump into like the HSL type stuff. I can get it done with that. And I do shape mask stuff, and I can do my color work in Final Cut, which has been good.
For speed, I do Final Cut. For like when I really, really want to push something, I'll go to Resolve.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I've been making Final Cut work for me for sure. For color.
Yeah, that's sweet.
So
I dig that.
Man, I just want to talk about nerdy shit with you about video editing now, but I don't know if that's going to be the most entertaining. So, we were talking a little about just your kind of progression to where you're at now. Like you kind of started in a small town, and let's just talk about that. Your backstory. How'd you get into all this?
That's deep. Yeah, I grew up in tiny town, Gettysburg, South Dakota, 1,300 people. I was in band and things like that, but I started playing guitar when I was 7, and I started like creating little rock bands with the handful of kids that like knew how to play an instrument. It's kind of just like 1 or 2 maybe, and then there was like this like older guy in the area, and I just fell in love with doing that and doing music stuff, and I started writing music when I was 10 or like 12 or something like that. And I started learning audio when I was 14 because the band I was playing with, we got a PA system, and I was the guy who figured out how to run it. And I was kind of getting lessons from a guy who was teaching me a few things, kind of a local gearhead. He was building. He was so intriguing to me. He was building, and right now, at this point, I understand exactly what he was building. But to me at the time, it was amazing. He was creating like electronic drum kits out of like dog dishes and stuff, man. And he had triggers on them. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But now it's like, okay, it's just a piezo element to attach that. Anyway, so
it was like alien technology back then.
Seriously, you had no idea, when you're 13 years old watching this guy do this stuff. Anyway, yeah, I just, I kept doing that. And when I was like 17, I started playing with a little bit better group of guys. Had my first recording experience where we had an engineer kind of record us. Just opened my eyes, and then I kind of went down the rabbit hole and started out small, bought a few pieces of gear that I could afford, bought like a used iMac from my aunt because that was like what I could run GarageBand off of or Logic or whatever. And then I just kept getting more stuff, and I started working for different people. I started mixing live stuff, started booking shows. It's very weird to look back at. And I think I was probably really bad, like during that whole time. But I was still in this area. This is kind of transitioning into like me moving to Aberdeen, where I went to college. I studied marketing, actually. I was going to study audio at DSU, and then I was in bands, and I was dating someone from Aberdeen. I was like, why am I going to Madison? Anyway, I just started learning more and more. It was kind of this great opportunity where I was one of the few guys who was doing audio. Even though I was
even though you think you're horrible, it was probably way better than average.
Yeah, but I was still like in an area where I had so much opportunity. And that kind of translated when I got to Sioux Falls too. I still felt like there were audio engineers, but I felt like I was kind of going into a different specialty always. And I just evolved to what I liked really. But it's kind of been this long thing where
now you get to do what you love to do. almost every day.
And it feels pretty second nature in a lot of ways now. But audio is so interesting. Audio is completely about repairing something. The whole way down. Audio is like, my voice is in this room right now. From the start of this microphone, we're on pursuit of repairing what you're hearing.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel that.
Like we're using microphones.
We're losing so much through the mix.
Yeah, the microphone
into the
quality.
SD card, into the editor, into
everything.
Mm-hmm.
The mic is probably one of the bigger things with it. But you think about that, my job is to try to basically resurrect like what someone sounded like. And it's a huge challenge every time
electronically through a phone or something like that.
Yeah, and it's such a complex way to do it. You know, it starts with good microphones and cables and recorders and rooms. That's just the beginning. And then the back half is me mixing on really nice speakers that are completely tuned. So what I hear is what's accurate. And it's just like this huge process every time and you always get something different. Sometimes I get audio that sounds pretty trashy and I have to make it sound good or as good as it can be. But it's this challenge.
The life of on-camera mics when you're on location.
Yeah. But it's an amazing thing. It's always a challenge. And I love that. I don't know why. Everything's different. I don't ever feel like I'm doing the same thing over again because I'm never doing the same space.
Right.
I'm always like...
It's always a new problem to solve.
It's always pretty much from zero. There are very few jobs that I do where I can pull up a preset and it works. It doesn't work like that in audio. It doesn't really work like that in video either.
No.
Everyone thinks like a preset's going to work and make you look good. And maybe it does. Like
I've tried so many LUTs and I'm like...
Yeah, like...
Man, it sucks.
5% of the time maybe. It looks good. You still have to tweak it. Yeah, so...
I'm like, I bought Peter McKinnon's LUT. My footage is going to look just like his. Put it on, and it's like, it's the worst I've ever seen ever.
Wait, he shoots Canon. That makes sense.
Well, that's when I had my Canon, too. I was shooting on my little guy over there. But, yeah, I don't think people realize just all of the work that goes into, you know, whether it be a song or a video.
Oh, my God, there's so much.
The audio is...
And you can make it easy, right? Like you could make it like
you can make it easier.
Well, you're doing this, you're recording this in a much more simple way than I would record things because you probably care less than I do. I'm like,
so I wouldn't say I care less, but I literally just don't have the time.
Sure.
There's
a constraint.
So like with this setup, even it's like every episode, that's when I get to try something new because when I'm not doing an episode, I'm doing, I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's like now when I'm doing the podcast, now I get to experiment.
That's cool.
And I've made a ton of mistakes already.
Oh yeah. I've recorded so many podcasts.
This is episode 15 and I've made probably 150 mistakes in those. It's like
you should write them down. Let me know.
I should.
Because I can relate to that. Because I've done the podcast video thing.
And part of it's self-producing. Like having 3 cameras going, like I'm always constantly eyeballing those.
Yeah, you have a lot going on right now.
I don't want to make guests wear headphones because I want it to be more comfortable.
Yeah, because we don't have to be in repair of our audio. We can just be in the room.
So it's like, audio's been a problem. Every episode I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have done this with audio or something. It's
Sure, yeah.
But it's okay.
That's cool, man.
Because, my goal is 100 episodes. So by episode 100, I'm going to have something figured out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going to have everything figured out.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
We'll see. But I'm also the type that wants to keep... Like, once I get everything perfect, I'm going to figure out how to make it complicated again.
Yeah. Well,
that's how I roll.
Just make it simple. I don't know. Give yourself, like, assist features,
Right.
Like, give yourself, like, a switcher so you can see all your camera angles.
I've talked to a guy about maybe producing it for me, so I might do that.
It's more fun to do it alone, though, too.
It's like, it's a rush. I'm like, setting up as you're texting me. I'm going to be here in 10 minutes. I'm still getting my camera set up.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's good to see that because it's so, when you're, and I understand that side, but it's so funny. Like when I put myself in the position of being a guest, you kind of forget that like someone's getting shit ready right now.
Right.
Like this is a lot for you to deal with. So yeah.
It's
admirable, man.
It's becoming less overwhelming, though. I'm getting more comfortable with it.
Which is, like, why it's fun. Yeah, it's just, like, a challenge always.
And that's a big thing. Like, I can't even really fully express what I'm thinking because I'm thinking of so much other stuff. So like I'm really relying on the guest to bring some fire, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
so
I don't know if I'm the fire, but
well, yeah, you're bringing it for sure so far. And that's why I'm like I'm gonna be very selective about who I ask to be on.
You gotta enjoy doing this if you're just gonna do this.
Mm-hmm. Or if like somebody asked me to be on, like I've created a questionnaire. Like, tell me why you should be on. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you focus on now? Are you more? Would you say you're more of a video guy or an audio guy?
Yeah, that's weird. I would say the past few months, I would tell you I'm an audio guy because I've just done so many remote mixing projects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love mixing and mastering. Like my ideal self is probably someone doing mixing and mastering, but I've really grown to love video too. So I do have video projects coming up. I'm doing like some online course stuff, some tour stuff, some like just educational stuff. I like that. I like podcasts. Maybe that's kind of boring to some people with video, but for me, I've learned so much through the internet.
That's, that was my inspiration for starting this podcast.
Yeah.
Is I listen to podcasts and I love it,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
there's so much to learn through it.
Yeah, they've changed my life.
Yeah. So that's my goal. Really, I'm passionate about stuff that is just natural emotion. So I think people teaching something or, that they're passionate about, because you have to be passionate about something to be able to articulate it enough to teach it. Podcasts, that's just people speaking from their soul, basically, as much as they can, minus maybe the nerves that you have. Like, you're pretty open. I like stuff like that. I like it so much more than anything that I call manufactured emotion.
Right.
I would say ad type stuff is just not that interesting to me because I'm not someone who really consumes ads.
Yeah.
And I have probably the bandwidth to be able to pull it off, but I typically turn stuff like that down because I'm just not passionate about it. I just like capturing really real shit.
I like that. Yeah, and that's something that I've really worked on with video too, is not trying to create an emotion or a mood, but like trying to capture what I'm witnessing right there.
Yeah.
It's
hard. It's hard sometimes, especially when you have to think about all the technical stuff and and you are dealing with people who are having a tough time just opening up and being comfortable because it's a scary thing when things are being recorded.
Yeah, it's even a scary thing when things aren't being recorded,
Yeah, life is everyone's anxious and nervous about so much stuff all the time.
The cool thing about this though is like, how often do you get to tell people to turn off their phone and just have a conversation?
Yeah, it's nice. It's special.
I've talked about how podcasting has literally taught me, about from the personal training side to now the video side, mindset, like
so much stuff. Yeah,
everything. So I have to contribute to that.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts.
Really?
And I wonder if part of that is because I have such a hard time listening to bad audio. And like most podcasts, I find to have like kind of tough audio.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I could just listen on a system that doesn't reveal it as much.
That's a big thing, though. I think, people don't even realize with a video, if the audio is bad, but the video looks good, you still don't want to watch.
No, it's all about making things transparent. That's the point of audio and video, like good audio and video, is to make it seem as realistic as possible. So if you can make your audio sound realistic, if you can make the video look realistic, that's the goal. Obviously, you can create some emotion within things, especially on the video side. Audio, I think, is more for audio for video. I'd say the more transparent, the better.
Right.
You're very rarely trying to create like sound effects and stuff around it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're not adding
dialogue at least.
Yeah. You're not adding like reverb to my voice unless I'm going to do something funny.
No, I'm trying to get rid of all the damn reverb I possibly can in dialogue.
Yeah, you've got some panels up in here, which is good.
Yeah.
That's
like
an important step.
It was for music. So I just built these so you could mix down music. But now it's like perfect for a podcast studio.
Yeah, that's helpful. It's really important. The room is such a huge factor, and I've dealt with so many different rooms for podcasts, and I have tricks to make things sound tighter than they are. But yeah, I just built
like
out
with EQ and stuff like that, or you mean before?
It's an EQ thing sometimes if a room has a particular frequency. But I also use plugins that are noise reducers, reverb reducers, tons of things like that, just to make it sound tighter.
Not built into the
stuff that you pay money
stuff
to.
Isn't very good.
Well, some stuff is.
It's okay, but I mean,
yeah, I'm a Pro Tools user, so they don't give you much.
And I guess I'm more talking about the video editing software. So
totally
different. Yeah,
that's tough, but Yeah, I don't know. You have a nice space. I actually just built out a new room at my place. My lower level of my house is like all studio, which is funny and really convenient.
All audio studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of have my mix mastering desk space, and now I have a tracking room where I can, it's all patched through the wall. I have to run HDMI lines, though, HDMI network. That's my next thing, just to be able to kind of monitor things that way. But yeah, it's a really tight room.
So do you, you're making music and everything there?
If I'm recording an artist, yeah. I play my own music still. I just haven't recorded in years. I need to.
And just kind of do it just more for yourself.
Yeah, but I actually, for myself, I need to put out an album again. Because I release things on Instagram every once in a while. I'll post just like little clips of what I've been writing on. I think I was kept from releasing stuff for so many years because I was just dissatisfied with my voice. And since I bought my house, it's given me this environment to be able to sing freely. Whereas when I was in apartments and like going through this phase of like learning my voice more, it was really difficult because I felt bothersome to neighbors.
Right.
You're already like vulnerable, like judging yourself, and then you're like, fuck, someone's listening to me right now. And it screws with you. So as soon as I got a house, it's like, I just started singing more because I can talk to myself all day long. I can sing all day long and no one hears it. It's this really nice feeling.
So you just gotten comfortable with it.
Yeah. So I've gotten better at singing, and now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I'm ready. I know I'll be better. Like in 5 years from now, I'll be a better singer. But where I'm at now, I'm happy enough to put out a new record.
What kind of music do you do?
I would say it's pretty singer-songwriter, folky type stuff. I came from kind of a pop punk era. Okay. So some stuff kind of like edges that way on the energy of it. It doesn't fit the genre, but it's kind of like a gap bridge. Okay. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah. But a lot of stuff now is a little bit smoother, folky stuff. So.
Well, I can't wait to hear the album.
Yeah, or I'll just...
It's recorded. Pressure's on.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be asking.
Well, it doesn't have to be much, and that's what I realized, is that I kept putting this pressure on myself to do something that was big, and I had like all these instruments and all of this stuff, and deep down I realized that I just like an acoustic guitar and vocals, and I can make songs work that way. And why do I need to record them in a more complex way and make my life difficult?
You're almost hiding behind technology in a way. If you like the simple, but you're trying to add a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. You're almost, what gets difficult, though, is that the more raw it is, the more obvious it is if you do any form of editing to it. So your performance has to be so on. So that's kind of the next thing. It's like I've already decided I'm going to keep it stripped down, but the next level is just... rehearsing the shit out of it. Yeah, rehearsing it so heavily to the point where it's just second nature. So it's going to come out someday. I know it will. I haven't started on it. So you're going to do an album, you're going to do music videos, all that stuff? You got the full range of skills, you might as well. I don't see myself doing like music videos. I don't know. Even if it's you performing the song? I mean, I could do a live session or something, I'm sure, which would be cool. I think people want to see that. Yeah, and it's so weird to if you could add visuals to the audio, it's big. It's so funny because I don't always think of it that way because, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird to think about yourself putting out art and like people caring about it. When it's like, I wrote these songs for me. Right. And I'm sharing them with people who I think might like them, but I'm also like, I have a hard time with the pushing toward people who have never heard it and don't. That's my favorite kind of art. What? The art that people aren't making for other people. Oh, yeah. For themselves. Honestly, when it comes to music, anyone who's writing for other people, they're not writing honest songs. They're not writing good songs. I fully believe that. The best art that's ever come out has been written selfishly. Right. And like as far as I'm concerned, leave mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, yeah. Because art doesn't have to be perfect for you to express something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the perfectionism, don't even worry about that. No. If the song's raw, like if it's a stripped down basic version and people feel it, who cares if there's a little stutter somewhere or you know, like a little... People like that. Extra string that gets hit that wasn't supposed to get hit. It sometimes becomes a moment in time that's memorable. Like just like you said, the rawer it is, the less edited it should be, right? Yeah, yeah. So you hear those little things, you're like, oh, it's human. Yeah, and it's cool because then the listener can think about like, oh, here comes that note. It's not a good note, but it's a note. And that's the thing, like even the DAWs, when you run a loop, you could humanize it, right? To where it's not perfect. Because if it's too perfect, people will pick up on that. So
yeah, there's no way that my music would ever sound good if I did elastic audio and like put it perfectly in tempo. That would just make no sense. Actually, how I play these days is in a different tuning. Typically, you're tuned to, it's called like A is 440 hertz. I actually tune it so A is 432 hertz.
oh my God.
You know about this
You're
stuff,
in
don't
my
you?
head, bro.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to an album. Like I got this one song. It's just like an instrumental song.
Yep.
You know who John Frusciante is? Guitar player for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, yeah.
So he's got this whole album that's in 432 hertz.
I love it.
And so like, you know,
dude,
I've
there's
been
something
aware of
to
this
it.
album for years and years, but like I've been trying to figure out how to play the song.
Oh, and it sounded like
and
sour.
so like I looked it up on YouTube one day just so I could listen to it, and it said something about 432 hertz. I'm like,
funny.
So I did research, like
How to tune it to that.
yeah. Well, I know it's just on the tuner. You can just change the hertz.
Yeah, you can just set that.
So I wanted to go more into like why.
Oh yeah.
Why is 440 the standard? Why did they switch it?
Why is
did
the reason?
Evil beings at the top. You know what I mean? But then I also watched some videos where it's like 432 sounds bad.
I think it sounds awesome.
I think it sounds nice.
I think it feels awesome.
It's
basically, to be honest.
It's in between standard tuning and like a half step down, basically, right?
Yeah, and I'm actually a half step down in 432. So 432, I guess, is like, what is that? Like 8 cents off.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit lower.
For some reason, I thought it was like 428 was like.
You know the reasoning why people like 432?
Well,
it's to deal with the resonance of the earth, I guess. I don't entirely understand it.
Dividable by
yeah. It's like the division. So naturally we don't feel it. I think the earth resonates at like 8 hertz or something like that.
8 hertz is what it is.
Yeah, and you don't really notice that, but you're constantly feeling it. It's a vibration. So yeah, the 432 is more corresponding to it, I guess. Anyway,
so crazy.
Yeah, I would say that listening to it's interesting, but playing at 432 for me feels so right. I don't know. Just the way the instrument feels against my body and the way my chest resonates when I'm playing that, it feels so much better. And I know it's a huge inconvenience if I were to play with other people. But honestly, when it's just me and a guitar, I choose that every day.
So I was thinking about that, like if I wanted to, because I have it in my head that one day I'm going to make an album too, just for myself. Like I don't care if anybody ever hears it.
What do you do for music? Like what kind of music would this be?
So you see that beat pad over there? That's my drum and bass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
yep.
I've been messing around with more of that electronic vibe.
That's cool.
But I love acoustic guitar, and I love just like, Hendrix and stuff like that.
You have this big
guitar music, is what I would say. So, and I'm not a vocalist. I don't even try. I hate my voice. I don't even attempt.
Could always outsource or just not have vocals.
That's what it would just, I recorded CDs in the past.
Yeah.
No vocals. It was on an old like 8-track. What was it? Like a Roland or something like that. Digital 8-track recorder. Yeah, no vocals. But oh shit, where was I going with this? Oh, so going into the software, like I've just been doing like Studio One. That's what came with that pad.
Oh yeah, nice.
I was concerned about if I switch my guitar over to 432 and I start recording stuff with that, like I'm not very familiar with the softwares, so I'm like, is that going to fuck up all of my other stuff?
Oh yeah,
make it not compatible.
Transposing things a little bit.
Like not even as far as just new stuff. Like how do I even?
I think you could probably transpose a lot of that stuff just to be a little bit, even like a pitch shifter plugin. If you had a good one, you could probably. It's not a big shift, right? It's a tiny shift to the point where they're like phone apps actually. So yeah, anyone listening to this, I would say there's an app in your phone, or you could download called 432 Player.
Okay.
And it allows you to pull songs from. I don't know if you can do it from Spotify. I use pretty much always Spotify now. But when I had this app, I used to be able to pull the songs out of my iTunes library and play them and swap between 440, which they just assumed that all tracks were 440, and then it would pull them down to 432. I'm sure that there are probably songs that were already in 432 that would, play lower. But
I don't think there's a lot though.
No, I don't. I'm trying to think. I'm not a Coldplay fan, but I think Coldplay does a lot of stuff in 432. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. Like,
it's a cool experience. Like, I think using an app like that can get you in the right mind space. Mm-hmm. And you also have to bear in mind that when you listen to stuff like this, you have to be in almost a meditative state when you listen to music like that and you're trying to decipher how it feels.
Right.
You can't do this when you're busy. You're just going to go, oh, that's stupid. Mm-hmm. So if you're like a really busy-minded person, this isn't going to make any sense to you. This makes sense to people who like can relax and feel music.
So, and that's actually funny. So this album that I'm telling you that I, kind of heard this from, when he released it, he said, this album is designed to be listened in your dark living room on the couch.
Love that. It's
nothing else going on.
Instructions.
Yeah. So I definitely should check that out. It's called The Empyrean.
Okay.
Very, very different album.
Tell me after this and I'll write it down.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Where did you first hear about that?
432?
432.
I have no idea. Probably some YouTube video. It was a while ago when I started doing this because we were one of my college bands that I was playing in. There was a point when we recorded the album in 440, but we just started playing live shows in 432. And it was just, I don't know, just felt right. Good. Yeah, and I was kind of like into that kind of stuff. I would say we were kind of that type of band. But it just felt right, yeah. So I imagine in college is when I started doing it. I don't know. And I kind of got out of it for a while because when I was with the Spill Canvas guys, that's how I got into the half step down thing because all their guitars are half step down. It's 440, but it's half step down. So I started loving my guitar there. But yeah, so in recent years, I guess, since I've been singing in my house, it's just had both. So I'm half step down, 432, and it just feels good.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. I was literally like watching videos on this yesterday.
I figured you'd be into stuff like that. Yeah. As soon as I said it, I was like, he's totally into that.
Well, and also it's like, you said we've met before at Escape Float Spa.
Yep.
I met a lot of, I'm going to say weirdos in the most loving way possible.
Yeah. I might have been one of them. You just didn't know.
Yeah. So it's like, I think people that are like thinking outside the box like that is so fucking cool to like, it's like synchronicities popping up. You know?
Yeah, totally. I remember the first time I was in there and I met you, and it was like caused by me. It was the worst experience I've ever had.
Oh, really?
What happened was I booked the appointment and I double booked, and I had like a job or something that required me to leave the float spa early. This awful thing because a float spa is like about relaxation. It's about going until the end, and it lets you know. And here I am with a phone timer that has to go off to let me know to leave. So I'm constantly just like thinking about that the whole time. And it was so bad. It was.
You can't have a good float experience.
No,
if
you
you're
can't.
About what you have to
do. And it was so bad because I didn't want to lose the float experience. I didn't know if I probably could have called you guys and said, "Hey, I screwed up. Can I shift this?" And it probably would have been fine. But I didn't know if I could do that or not. Totally I didn't know you guys.
You totally could have.
Yeah, but
the most laid back working environment ever.
Yeah. So I could have, and I didn't. And that was my first experience meeting you. Was like a really awful self-induced float spa experience.
Well, I'm glad we came out of that.
Yeah, me too, dude.
So have you floated again though?
Yeah, I floated probably like 6 or 7 times since then.
So
I haven't for a while.
About like meditation, like that's fast track, but it's the same thing. Like when you try to meditate, really when you try to do anything for yourself, but you're so worried about what else you got to do, you can't enjoy that experience.
Yeah.
Like even me, like we had the news here last week, and I got here in the morning to do a workout, and the whole time I'm like thinking about all the shit I had to do before the news got here. And it's like, I don't even want to work out. I just want to go get ready for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
But
it's so hard to be present with certain things.
That's the challenge. That's where the good shit comes. Is when you push past that and you do the thing for yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what self-development is like basically pushing everything else aside so you could do you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for real. It's powerful. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's a difficult discipline to like give yourself that self-love.
Yeah. It's definitely something like I haven't floated for like 2 years probably.
Oh, whoa, it's been that long.
Building this place, it's taken all my time and energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus, like, if you're meditating, doing breath work, you're getting it somewhere else. I will say that I think I like just meditating, doing breath work on a solid surface more than I do it being in a float spa type thing. I think part of that is the posture of it. Like, if you lay on your back, it gets your hips, it gets your neck, it gets your shoulder all right. Whereas I think in a float spa, just because you have air in your lungs, it'll kind of just like throw your posture off a little bit. Yeah, and pretty soon I'm more uncomfortable than I would be just being on a flat surface. Because as soon as you go into meditation, you forget that you have a body.
Right.
You just you're totally in a little world.
So I used to go into the tank and do Wim Hof, like the breathing.
Yep.
And like every time I would do the breath hold, I would like try to picture like, all right, old you is dying right now. Literally the old you, the body's like everything's dead.
Wow, that's letting go.
That's really letting go. Especially it's pretty dumb when you're holding your breath in a tank of water all by yourself. It's probably not very smart to do that.
I don't know.
Don't do that when you're floating.
You'll probably come out of it fine. Obviously you did.
I was all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe I died and I'm in heaven now.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on consciousness, dude.
Are we in a simulation?
Yeah, it's this weird thing. I've actually had a lot of self-discoveries about this. I was a little hesitant to talk about this on here. But I know it's fine. I've had a lot of discoveries kind of in my mind almost like what I've created this is. And I believe that consciousness exists, right? Like you and I have a conscious form. I exist in the mind and body of Nate. You exist in the mind and body of Denny, right? Like, I think consciousness is like this ever-flowing thing through everything. Even like maybe this has consciousness to it. And we're just all created. Because if this is a simulation, it's all kind of like one. It's just manifesting in the conscious world, right? But I think that we're almost like an exercise for consciousness. I think that consciousness almost uses us to strengthen itself. Because what's amazing about human interaction and moments like this is that we're sharing energy. We're sharing like our consciousness. We're combining. And really, if you and I are composed of the same thing, we're just joining again with ourselves. But it's this very difficult world as human beings and nature and all the things that we've created to see it that way, to see the unity in all of this.
Yes.
But it's like this beautiful thing when you do connect that way and you understand those are the best moments in life.
Right.
Those are like connection and happiness and all of these things that you feel are what you're striving for.
Those slower moments.
So that's like the payoff. That is like a well-executed exercise. But if you think about that, yeah, consciousness uses us, a very rigid form, being as evolved as we are, which is not very far. You know, imagine us in a million years from now.
Right.
We're going to be so...
If we don't blow ourselves up.
True, we might kill ourselves in 50 years.
Right.
But I would say that based on our evolution stance right now, yeah, it's a very difficult thing to have this oneness. So, yeah, I think that that's what it is. I don't know what it entirely is. The extent I can see is consciousness, but then you look at that and you go, okay, if we feel small to consciousness, what does it feel small to? You know what I mean? Like, how small are we really? And it's fine. It's just being a part of one thing. It's not this stance of like.
Have you ever watched one of those videos where it's like the the timeline, the future timeline of the world, where they're talking about billions of years in the future, what the Earth is going to look like?
No, wow.
You want to feel small.
Yeah.
You watch that, and they talk about how the Earth was formed. Basically, the form of the Earth, they do like a time lapse.
Yeah.
And they just talk about in 1 million years, the lava starts taking over, or, you know, it's all kinds of crazy shit. But it's like 1 million years. Just think about that.
That's
1
so
million
far
years
away.
from now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Meanwhile, a year feels like a long time.
Yeah.
So that's a weird thing. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to not understand. But
so this thing that we're doing right now, this format of podcasting, could be consciousness led humans down the road to technology, the internet, so that we could have a conscious conversation, and then share that with so many people.
Yeah, that's what's amazing about podcasts.
So right now we're just accelerating that process of unity and connecting consciousness.
Yeah, we're using things derived in our like human world to enhance that.
Right.
That's exactly why I only screw with stuff that I would say fuck with. The only reason why I fuck with
Let it
stuff.
fly, bro. Let it fly.
Yeah, I know. It's probably not that censored. That's the only reason why I fuck with stuff like this. Like, I like things that are emotions based because this is so real. We're entering, like we get going on this because we have a mutual respect for video or audio or something like that. You know what I mean? Very human derived things.
Right.
But we end on this level where it's like we had a soul connection.
Completely different.
And it was cool.
Technology even. It's like the opposite of technology, you know, which we were talking about at the beginning. Like we're the technology now.
Yeah.
Our consciousness is the technology, you know.
It's pretty amazing. I hope the world keeps moving in this direction to capture stuff like this because I think it's really, really important.
I feel like the world is tired of being lied to.
Oh,
and so much of what we call reality is made up.
Yeah, it absolutely
you know,
is.
The mainstream view, it's changing. The old mainstream view from when I grew up, from when you grew up, it's not going to be the mainstream view in 50 years.
You know,
it can't be. It's not working. You know what I mean? Everything's changing.
It's
the old way of
fun.
And even what I did with this place, just go, outwork all your problems. You can't do that. You got to slow down. You got to become conscious of your problems and work them out, you know, meditatively, I guess. Like,
yeah,
you got to, just like we were talking about self-development or a business. You grow your business to a certain point, and then you got to go back to yourself. That's where people are at right now.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to take in. I think we have a lot of knowledge now where we don't just feel like human beings. We don't feel like we're just in this simple structure and this is all it is. You know, we kind of have an opening like, whoa, this is more than this.
Right.
And you don't have to just be like a cog in the machine if you don't want to be. You know, there are ways to like navigate this. Like I still have to be a human being. And I still have to navigate these little things, but I can do it in a way that like serves me on a soul level still.
Right. It's more like you get to, I was talking to Tanner about this yesterday, like it's like we're playing a game, right? But we're the players of the game, but we also get to be the ones that create all the rules of the game.
True.
You know what I mean? Like we get to create the software and be the players. We get to make up our own rules in our game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is consider that you're doing it together. You know, some people might not see it that way, but it's important to understand that you're not trying to just like kick other people down and get to the top level. Because if it's about unity, it's not the answer.
You
won't
know? Stay at the top for very long if that's your process.
No, yeah, the game is, it's a beautiful thing. Like you have to create it in a beautiful way, and then it's going to yield beautiful results.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Damn, I think that's a perfect spot to end. We got like very little time left on our recording limits that we were talking about earlier. So
yeah, I appreciate you doing this.
I appreciate you. This was amazing.
It's very nice. Yeah.
So I had no idea what to even expect asking you on because like I didn't really know you.
Yeah.
But yeah, my gut told me, my instincts told me to invite you, and
yeah, dude,
you guys all benefited from that. So did I.
Yeah, I appreciate this. This is a nice time.
So thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Where could everybody find you at?
I would say my favorite place is my Instagram, Nate Poeppel, just NatePoeppel. Can
cool.
put in. Yeah.
All things Nate right there.
Yeah, or my website, natepoeppel.com.
Cool. I'll have that in the description below. So
cool. Thank you. Man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. That was sick.
That was amazing, bro.